Okay, so I'm Vinny Golia. I teach Woodwinds, composition, improvisation, and I have a class with Julie Feeves, and she's on sabbatical this semester. I have a class with Ed Carroll, career design class. Improvisation is one of the things that I'm involved with, in my actual career outside of school. I do that a lot. On a variety of different woodwind instruments. So I find that it's the most freeing thing for me. I like composing, but I always have room in my compositions for improvisation, so that the players can add their own personality to the composition. So it's not so much everything dictated by me. Matter of fact, even in a lot of the compositions, until we get together, I won't put dynamic markings or articulations. I prefer to work them out with the performer. Well, Dan plays a piece that I wrote for a solo trumpet piece for him, and that's what we did. I wrote the piece, and then I have the areas, in mind where I would like the improv, and I have a certain idea of how I would like the improv to be. So we go over those kind of situations. So I'm still very much writing, but still leave room for space for the interpretation of the piece from the composer. It's a little bit more like the older days when the way it was originally. I'm thinking. Well, I don't know.
What is improvisation?
That's a good question. I mean, to me, it's the art of being in the moment. It's just that simple. I mean, everything's an improvisation. You know how you're going to come to work today. There might be a traffic jam. Looking at patterns in traffic, looking at patterns and everything. It's like recognizing how you're going to get from one place to another. I mean, it's a very simple thing. The problem is that there are a lot of set patterns that people fall into, especially human beings, or even everybody. All nature has set patterns in it, but it's how you're going to change the patterns. I mean, I have a great story, like great saxophone player like Dexter Gordon will play in a jazz context, will play turnaround on a tune, and maybe he has like 5 ways that he plays the turnaround, but you never know which of the 5 ways he's going to pick. So it's always fresh and exciting. And Duke Ellington will often use the same voicings for the turnaround on a tune, but he'll take the voicings and put them in a different place every time. So one time maybe with just trumpets, maybe one time with just saxophones. Same voicings, but it sounds fresh every time. Sometimes all together, sometimes just trombones, sometimes just the piano. So you never know what's going to happen, Keeps things fresh. I like that immediacy. It can't come from the head, because when you're listening and you're actively engaged in that dialogue with yourself, everything else is passing by. So it has to take place outside of yourself, and you have to put yourself outside of yourself. It can't be about you. It's just the main thing, is that you can't be thinking about what you want to play, because the music moves in a linear fashion, and it's right past you. Even a textural improv, which may be more amorphic, moving like an amoeba, this kind of like organic shape, moving. Even that, if you stop to think about where you're going to enter, what part of the amoeba you want to be, the shape is shifted. You can't get back. It's not possible. You've got to get out of the dialogue with yourself. You can't really teach it. I don't think you can. I mean, in a closed form, like I'm playing on tunes, you can teach how you would like to approach the tune, how certain melodies and certain harmonic structures can be unlocked by your own personality. In pure improvisation, like just a free improvisation, you can talk about then the energies and densities and velocities, and you have those added elements along with the regular musical elements. But you can't really, you can talk about what made it good and what made it bad. And the only way that you can really isolate these kind of problems is by thinking in terms of teaching composition. Because composition is just improvisation slowed down. It's just you working. Well, I like the way that sounds. When you're improvising, you don't have that luxury of freezing something, because the other people are moving. Again, so you have to be really very, very clear about it. So what we're actually trying to do is learning how to perfect our listening and our reaction to create something in Western music, improvisation gets put into, especially in America, gets put into the jazz context because that's where we're most familiar with it. But almost every classical culture in the world, their original music has improvisation in it. Bulgarian music, Dan plays Bulgarian music, and I mean all the Balkan countries have improvisation. Indian music has improvisation. Japanese music, I'm not so sure, but it's more improvised in the way that it's interpreted. The original classical music had improvisation in it. That's what most of these people were great improvisers. Then other people wanted to play some of their pieces, and so they started writing them down. I mean, it's really that simple, you know. But almost every culture has improvisation, and we're the only ones who really kind of take our improv out of the music, you know. So, and even still, some of the classical composers, when they write verbal instruction, if they don't give a clear, a lot of the modern composers will ask for multiphonics, you know, multiple tones on single note instruments. And if they don't write the fingering, these people are getting an improv. That's an improvisation. Those multiphonics are improvised because we don't really we don't see the fingering and what the composer wants. So whenever you don't see something exact from the composer, you're improvising. Your performers are improvising, whether they realize it or not. You know, some of the pieces by Christian Wolff and Paulino Oliveros, where they have verbal instruction, you know, play a note, concentrate on that note, don't play another note until the other person plays, or, okay, there's no direction of note. There's like verbal instruction, and it's still a composition, but at the same time, there's a certain amount of improvisation and interpretation involved in that. You know, I'm not picking on those people, I'm just giving you examples. When Christian Wolff, they're early, even Terry Riley in C, you still have it. When you follow the pathways, you can still pick whatever pathway you want to pick. That's an improv, you know, even though the notes and are written out for you. They can apply for individual lessons, and they can have a major lesson or a minor lesson. And dance is actually a minor lesson, but since there's no one after him for a while, it usually goes, you know, we usually hang out for a while and talk and play. And so that's basically it. And then David Rosenblum, the dean, gets to pick according to I don't that process, the part of the process I never totally get, but he has to go through all the lessons and figure out who's getting their majors and where they're getting their minors, and is there time for this, is there budget for this, and so that's what happens. And then for the individual lessons, the students, I usually let the students tell me what they want to work on. I have some people who come to study, like saxophone students who just want to work on altissimo register or get more facile with their playing. So we work a certain way with that. Dan wants to work on improv. I have some composition students. You know, I also have two ensembles. I have a small ensemble, which is, what are we now, six, right? And then we have a large ensemble, which is like a chamber orchestra here at school. And so any of those people are, I'm just restricted by whatever budget constraints and stuff but basically it's kind of open what people want to work on. I have another student doing an independent study about creating his own record label and website and stuff for his. That's what he wants. That's his focus is putting out his music through this website and stuff. So we're working on, you know, on having streaming music and MP3 files that people can download, certain pictorial images that he can follow, putting video on the website, et cetera, so that he doesn't have to perform so much outside of his hometown. So when people want to see him, they can go right to that and get all the information. You can't think of business as a bad word when it comes to your career. It's your career. If you don't invest in your career, who else is going to invest in your career? You know, so you do have to know these things and know that business isn't a bad word. You know, at the end, on the other side of it, you have to remember what brought you to music, why you want to play music, what do you want to do with music. It's very important. If you want to just do it as a job, that's fine. I'm kind of the wrong guy to go to for that. I like people who like to play just for the sake of playing music, you know. But that's one thing. I sidetrack myself there, but that's the main thing is to remember like why you're playing music and to create goals for yourself, so you have long and short term goals, so that you can kind of refresh your career at periodic stages and see like what you're doing, what you want to do, why you want to do it. Really check it, kind of keep checking on yourself and making sure that you can always relate to why, what it is that you're doing now compared to like why you started to play music, why you wanted to play music. And if you can maintain that love of music all the way through, then you're doing the right thing, because that will keep you on track. Your gut feeling is usually your best commander in chief and take you right where you need to be. But if you get sidetracked with too much business, taking gigs just to do that kind of thing and getting more involved in this, then you get further and further away of your actual point of what'd you call that? Your actual genesis point. And then you need to like reassess your career and see what you're doing. What's wrong? The main thing you do have to do to work in Cal Arts is one of the things you have to do is to learn how to really not be overwhelmed by the amount of things to do here. There's an amazing amount of creativity here, so you have to be very precise about like staying to your original plan and making sure before you change it that it's the thing that you need to further what it is that you're doing. Because this is like a candy store. You got African music, Indian music, Balinese music, Javanese music over here. You've got Leo Smith with a creative program here. You've got all the classical programs here and the new music programs over here. And then you have electronic music programs and composition stuff. So you can slowly start to get like swept by the actual flow of school and start doing everything, wanting to do everything, and then lose your focus. It's happened to a couple of the students here where they come in as maybe flute majors and wind up playing, kind of like drifting and forgetting to practice the flute, start doing too many other things. So that's the beauty and the danger of Cal Arts. And so if you can maintain your focus here, that will just carry. And you'll be in a really good shape when you get out. You'll hit the ground running, as opposed to getting out and going, what do I do now? Being overwhelmed by the tsunami,